We're live. What's up, buddy? Welcome back to Industry Headlines on the Kevin and Fred Show. I'm Kevin Kauffman, and you are, could you introduce yourself to the listeners?
I'm Fred, lowercase Fred. That's how you had my name spelled here on Zoom to start. But I'm Fred Weaver. Thanks for having me a part of your show today.
Hold on. I didn't adjust your name.
I adjusted it.
You adjusted it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't adjust it to lowercase or uppercase. That's what I'm saying.
Can we get on with the show?
Yeah. So first of all, we're going to talk about a cool couple cool topics. Something new you stumbled across, new company that is going to maybe change the way people live, or at least have a dent in it. And then we're going to talk about something from our old time, dude, like from short sale days. Like, this is near and dear to our hearts. We're going to talk about Ocwen / PHH Mortgage Servicing and the hot water that they're in. And then what would a real estate show be without talking about interest rates? So that's where we're going to start. And before we get into that, one quick note today, this week's industry headlines brought to you by our good friends over at Ylopo. If you haven't checked out the tools, Raya, the texting, digital, online, badass way of generating leads. For me, literally the only way to do lead generation online is with Ylopo. Head over to ylopo.com and ask for a demo or check it out. I think they're pretty awesome. They're a big part of our business at Group 4610. So, all right, Fred, where do you want to start, buddy?
Cool. Let's start with Boxabl. So I came across this company, Boxabl, recently, Kevin, and they're in a startup phase. Okay, so it's more of a concept phase right now. They're not delivering to consumers, but they're ramping up. They're actually in the process of acquiring a large inventory space where they can manufacture these buildings. But just think for a moment, think about modular or manufactured housing, Kevin, and like picture you're driving down the freeway and there's one of those really large trucks that's driving in 1.5 lanes with the big oversized, vehicle in yellow tape. And there's probably like a truck behind them and a truck in front of them with flashing lights, right? This is what we think of when we think of manufactured and modular housing, right? This idea of single wide, double wide manufactured homes that get driven around by these really small trucks, clog up our freeways, piss us off, put rocks and dents in your windshield. But Boxabl has a solution to this, Kevin, and I'm really excited about this company and what they're proposing. So they have essentially created stackable, or if you want to think of like foldable type manufactured housing. So imagine that big truck driving down the freeway. Imagine if you were able to like fold that like your daughters would, like a piece of paper in class when they're not paying attention to the teacher or they're working on some art project, right? Where you're like folding that paper in, like you could take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you can fold it up and create a smaller thing, right? Is it called origami? Is that what you call it when you take like a piece of paper and you create different shapes out of it? Am I? I don't know. I should have studied this before this episode. It just came to me.
Call Sophie later. She'll walk you through origami.
She'll walk me through what origami is. Okay, so picture that for a minute, right? You take a big piece of paper, you turn it into anything. But so Boxabl is essentially doing this. They're creating modular housing, but it's like foldable, stackable, and it's easy to create. It takes a lot less of the work. You don't have to go through all the trouble of actually like shipping it and transferring it all over the world. And so Boxabl, you can check them out, boxabl.com, but and of course it's spelled weird, right? Like Box-A-B-L. But right now they're launching this thing, Kevin, called like a casita type house. So you may have heard this in the news in California. There's been some recent legislation apparently to keep people in California. They're now going to let them put casitas in their backyard. So like you can, you don't have to go out and buy a newer house because
multi-generations or add
right, multi-generational type thing, right? So you can actually grab like a casita, if you will. This is the Boxabl concept from them, and like construct it in your own backyard. So pretty interesting stuff, just the way they're manufacturing it, the way they're really redoing the whole look at manufactured housing. And I'm excited at the possibility. So anyway, just recently came across this. I watched some videos of them. I got a little excited. So I wanted to share it today on Industry Headlines. Maybe it'll be a dud, Kevin. Maybe it'll go nowhere, or maybe it will actually revolutionize the housing space. We'll see.
Again, it's like when we talk about all the other technologies in our space, right? If it provides more options and creates something better for the consumer, how could it be wrong? And if it doesn't, right, then no doubt the markets will react by not reacting, by not buying. But I think this has some legs and could go somewhere. So I'm excited to see what happens with Boxabl. All right, let's move on. So this is one of my
going back
favorites.
in time. Yeah, we're going back in time here.
We're going back in time. And any of you that did short sales, especially if you're doing them back when we were and we connected back then, this is gonna be near and dear to your heart as well. So there are now there's a coalition of 33, that's 33 state attorney generals that have filed a motion against PHH Mortgage, really its predecessor, Ocwen Loan Servicing, for charging unlawful servicing fees to nearly, get this, 1 million different homeowners. That is not at all surprising. And I'm so glad someone's going after these crooks.
So these guys are literally, Kevin, they're charging fees on top of their normal servicing fees that they obviously get from the loan investor. They're charging the borrower and homeowners extra fees, even if they pay their bill like online or by phone or whatever else, right? Like they're double dipping. And I mean, when 33 state, general attorneys from 33 different states get involved, like, they probably feel like they got a pretty good case, right? Like this isn't a couple of homeowners in Iowa complained and they got together and they convinced their state attorney to file. No, 33 general attorneys, right? Like from across 33 different states have gotten together to go after Ocwen. Now, for the all intents and purposes, this matters very little to all of us, but I had to talk about it today just for the simple fact that those of you that did short sales at any level must know, and you must laugh a little bit at the fact that Ocwen is still trying to get it over on people. And I hope they have their day coming. Like, I don't even know who runs those folks anymore. I'll never forget trying to call them and talk to a loss mitigation specialist and having to press 2 for the Spanish prompt so you'd be rerouted to somebody in Florida versus somebody in the Philippines. And for that, Ocwen, I will continue to hate you for all of my days.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel the same way. I hope they lose for the sake of, they've screwed over so many Americans. They deserve to lose no matter what. All right. So interest rates, what the hell is going on these days in interest rates, man?
Well, there's been a rise a little bit here recently in some of the interest rates, and you're hearing a lot of conjecture, if I'm using that word in the proper term here. I don't know. You can
I'm gonna have to go look that
offline.
up.
You can tell me about conjecture and origami. But I think what's happening out there is that people feel like it can't be good for this long. We have inventory shortage in nearly every market in the US right now. And what might create a little bit of room, little breathing room, might be a little rise in interest rates. And so we're seeing some different things happen in the secondary markets, seeing some different stuff go on. So I'm not here, Kevin, to actually tell you which way rates are going, because I have no idea. 2020 showed me I know nothing. GameStop stock showed me I know nothing, which maybe we should talk about that. That has nothing to do with real estate, but that's pretty funny. Or we could just end the show now. So that's all I got for you, Kevin.
Let's end it now. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. We will see you next week on Industry Headlines with Kevin Kauffman, Fred Weaver, the Kevin and Fred Show, brought to you by our good friends over at Ylopo. Check them out.
Later.